Good evening, everybody. It is 8 o'clock and it's Let's Talk, and I'm Kath Lloyd from Make the Change. And it's lovely to be back here again. And as you can see, I'm not out in the fresh air with the wind blowing and trying to hold everything, juggle everything in my hands. I'm here back at home. Where there's a little bit more control, I hope. And for those of you who listen regularly, I've had a few problems with the dogs barging their way in and starting to fight. Hello, Gareth, nice to see you here. And barging into the room and starting to have playtime. So I've actually kicked them out. I've got the chair against the door handle so they can't get in. So everything hopefully should run nice and smoothly today. So last week we were talking about how to leave behind those feelings or those things that you don't want anymore. And tonight's Let's Talk is sort of linked in the way because this is about how do you like yourself better. And, you know, I don't know about you, but I think most people have that feeling at some time during their life. I know I did. And I think a lot of people struggle with that, especially, as they're growing up and then at various different points, key moments in your life. So sort of where does, this come from? What's it all about? Well, how we feel about ourselves is to do with our self-worth, it's to do with our self-belief or our belief systems, it's to do with our self-esteem and, which has an effect on our confidence levels. And, it's quite interesting. Just before I clicked on live, I was looking at some of the Facebook, and, one lady who I've met only once when I first started writing my book, and wonderful girl, well, young lady, and she was just messaging that a year ago she started believing in God, and for her that has made a world of difference to her. And from the sounds of it, she's really blooming and really finding her way again in life. So what I'm saying is that a lot of things interfere with how we are feeling about ourselves and, our upbringing as well. When I taught, I used to teach parent craft, and some people, from the reading that I did around the subject, some people would say that we are all born equal, other people would say that we're not born equal, and to be honest, how can we be born equal? Because we're full of all this DNA, aren't we? And years and years, thousands of years of evolution, like stored up inside of ourselves. And so, we have got our own personality types, haven't we? And, whether we are more naturally an optimistic person or a pessimistic person is going to have a huge influence on, how people behave to, how people talk to us, how they act with us, or how they interact with us, and how we pick up on it. And also what's going to have a huge effect on us and how we react to different people is, what sort of situation we are in at that time. So if you're going through perhaps a very difficult emotional time, you could perhaps be a little bit more sensitive than normal. And so this is going to have an impact on how you react to what people are saying to you, how they are behaving to you. So there's a huge amount of interference, whether that's a positive interference or negative interference, in how we feel about ourselves. But the thing to remember is that, we've all got good in ourselves. Even mass murderers have got good within themselves. A part of them is good. Not, people aren't bad through and through. And so, this is why it's really important to understand yourself and start working around the idea of finding out what it is that you don't like about yourself, what it is that you want different, okay, about yourself. And so these are the sorts of questions you need to start asking yourself. What is it that you like about yourself? What is it that you want to be different, or what you want to improve on? Is it something about how you're thinking and you're feeling and how you react to people? Or is it something about your body? Or is it something about your learning abilities? Or you might talk about it as your intellectual abilities. But everybody is going to be different, aren't they? When you sit round with a group of friends or with your family, everybody's got something different to contribute to the group, which makes the group either a success or can cause conflict. But, it's really important to think about what it is that you're good at, okay? What it is, what skills have you got? Because when we're down in the doldrums, when we are feeling as if life is really, really difficult, we can forget all of these things that we're good at and that we like doing, and only concentrating on the negative things about ourselves, like, oh, I behaved really badly, or I reacted really badly to this, or I didn't get that job that I wanted, and so I must be rubbish at that. Okay, but, perhaps you've got other great skills that they haven't seen in you, and that's why that you didn't get the job. Or is it perhaps that there is actually a better job for you out there, and that job isn't the one for you? So it's about looking at things in a different way. And, if it's about your body, for example, nobody's perfect. And what we've got to remember is that what we see on the telly and what we see in the magazines, is all doctored, or, in the magazines, they've all the lines that I can see here, that, while I'm talking to you, they've all been, sprayed over, and to make these people look 20 years younger. But this is about, how we look, our lines, and all of this is about us and about, our personality in a way. And there's one of the dogs trying to get in. And, I always used to get fed up with myself because, I didn't have, I felt that my legs weren't slim enough. But actually, I've had to look at it in a different way. That no, I haven't got nice slender legs, but I've got legs that are strong, and that they're sturdy, and they serve me well. And actually, I've grown to like them, and I'm quite happy with them now. So it's sometimes about looking at things from a different viewpoint, okay? If you don't like something about yourself, is it something you can change? I don't like that I'm going grey, but I've got a good hairdresser who puts a great colour on. And so that makes an awful lot of difference. So are there things that we can change easily, or is it things that we need to concentrate on looking at the positive in us? And one of the ways that I was taught to do this when I started my life coaching training was that one of the exercises was I had to ask 3 people what they thought of me. And we could choose anybody we wanted, but I thought I'm going to try and get a 360 degree, viewpoint on this. So I picked somebody who I knew would be nice to me, somebody who I didn't know what they thought of me, and then somebody who would be blatantly honest. So that is somebody, a spade's a spade, black is black, white is white, sort of a person. And actually it was really surprising what they said about me, and it was very heartwarming and comforting. and, you know, confidence boosting. So that is a really great exercise to do, and stretch it a little bit so that you do ask somebody who is very honest and will say it how it is, because that's the only way that we get, and not, and the thing is, if they say something negative, not to get all uppity about it, but to ask them why they think that. Okay, because that's the only way you're going to learn, is asking the why question. Just like, you know, we've talked about in lots and lots of other different Let's Talks, is ask the why, because, you know, that is the question that's going to start giving you the key. And if it's, you know, asking the why question to yourself, it's about going back to putting your hand on your heart and being honest and truthful with you. And if you're asking the why question from somebody else, is whatever they say, you take it on the chin and you reflect on what they're saying, and work out whether this is something that you need to develop on and work on. Okay. The other thing as well that's really important about, you know, loving ourselves, well, not loving ourselves, but, you know, liking yourselves better, is to really start concentrating as well on what you perhaps like in other people. Now this is another, or dislike in other people. Now this is another really great exercise, and I know that some people on the call here, we've discussed this before, and they've done the exercise as well. And this exercise is about, you know, think about everybody that you know. Okay, and I'm saying about everybody that you know because you will have a more understanding about those people. And think about somebody who you respect, trust and like. And what is it that you look up to in that person? Why do you respect them? Why do you trust them? And why do you like them? Because the things that you pinpoint are either the things that you see in yourself or things that you want to aspire to. Okay? And I found that a really, really good exercise. And the other really good exercise is think of a person who you don't respect, you don't trust, and you don't particularly like. And I know this is sort of pinpointing, you know, the negative in people, but let's face it, we can't get on and we can't like everybody, however much you would like to. You know, you're always going to find somebody who you have a bit of friction with. Perhaps you don't see eye to eye. Perhaps they've got very, very different values or viewpoints on life. But again, it's about doing the same exercise. What is it about them that you struggle to connect with or respect and trust and like that person? Because again, you know, whatever you pinpoint, this is about what you think you have inside of yourself or you are frightened of becoming. All right. And with all of this information, you can then start to gear yourself towards what you do want and away from what you don't want. But what you shouldn't be doing is, you know, slating yourself for what you are. Because we're not all perfect. We're not all good and you know, and beautiful and, you know, absolutely perfect. We've all got our, you know, bad sides, or, you know, things that aren't great about ourselves. We don't always act perfectly or react perfectly, and you know we will have arguments with people, and say things that we regret. But that is us as human beings, and us, connecting with our emotions and, what is going on around us. So it's about trying to do the best that we can do with what we have got available for ourselves. So, do have a look at your strengths and really be honest with yourself. What are you good at? Even if you think it is really, really small, or insignificant, that insignificant thing is probably hugely important to somebody else. So, don't put it to one side and say, oh, I'm not going to bother writing that down because, that's irrelevant. It isn't irrelevant. It's really, really important. The other day, me and my daughter, we were sitting outside in the sunshine doing this jigsaw that she had for Christmas of it was just colours, tones all blending into one another. And, we started working on it. And she was the one sort of starting to piece the edges together. And I was the one rummaging through the box and painstakingly going through every piece, trying to find all the edges. And it's a meaningless task, but it was really important for my daughter to be able to carry on with the jigsaw. So together we worked really, really well, and we got to finish it off. And then a gust of wind came, and all the pieces went in the air, and it all went back in the box. But hey, that's besides the point. But what I'm trying to say is that we all have a purpose, and we are all important in whatever we are doing in our lives and with the different people that we're doing. And what's really, really important is to remember as well is everything that we think about, everything that we talk about, all of our behaviour, it is all energy. All right. And so as we go about our life, what sort of energy do you want to be putting out, and what sort of energy do you want to be receiving? Do you want to be putting out the negative and receiving more negative energy, or do you want to be putting out positive energy and receiving more positive? Because what we put out, we will get back. All right, so have a think about that. Do you want to be positive, or do you want to be negative? And liking ourselves better is going to put out a more positive energy to people around us, which will mean that they are more likely to give us positive energy, which we will soak up and help us become even more positive. All right. So think about what it is that you don't like about yourself, what it is that you are good at, the skills that you've got, what you like about yourself, what could you change easily, okay, and what you are aspiring to, and start taking the little steps to help you get that. But if you carry on just doing the same old stuff and not taking any action, nothing's going to change. Anything that we do, you've got to do something slightly different if you want a different outcome. So I hope that helps you help yourself in liking yourself a little bit better. So please do the exercises, because they will help. It will help you become more aware of yourself and the people around you, and have a look at the other people around you. When I was a mum, well, I still am a mum, but with young teenagers who are a little bit more, can be a little bit awkward. I've spent quite a lot of time watching other mums with the same age and seeing how they dealt with their difficult children. And thinking, I remember thinking this one lady, I really like the way she dealt with that, and I'm going to use that when that time comes to not discipline, but interact with my children so that we can get round this difficult situation a bit better. And then, on the other hand, look at what you don't like about what somebody's done and whether you are doing that and how you could make it different. So all of the time it's interacting with yourself, trying to find the right balance that you want and how you feel about yourself. But really, really be mindful that we're not all perfect. We've all got things we don't like about ourselves. But it's about accepting them for what they are. If you can do something about it, even better. But if you can't, it's about accepting it and learning to live with it and making the most of what you have got. So, next week we are going to be looking at why don't I get the feelings that I want? So again, it's still related and it's an extension of what we're doing, all right, here, about helping ourselves to feel great about ourselves, to be happier about ourselves and about what we're doing in life so that we can, have an even better life than we've got already, and to just be content within ourselves. So I hope you found that useful, and I'm looking forward to speaking to you next week. I won't be here, I'll be somewhere else, not sure quite where yet, but it will be up in Scotland. So I'm hoping that it's going to be a bright and sunny day again next week. Have a great week. Really learn to love yourself, give out that positive energy, and then you will receive more positive energy from other people. So have a great week and enjoy the sunshine. And yeah, I'll see you next week. Okay, bye-bye.